So we just finished. It's not a week. We call it a week. It seems like a month. Session. I don't know. It really just seems like, what is it? It starts on Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 5.5 day session retreat, which means a lot of zazen, doing a lot of meditation. And it's just astonishing practice. There is nothing like it. It's the hardest thing that I do, and it's also my favorite thing, because there's always a lightning like opposite of heavy, that happens with sesshin. So anyway, I start talking about this koan, and I'll finish it today. Oh, look at this cool thing I discovered. Like, stored from my Zoom is this whiteboard. So that's the koan, and I can just pull it up anyway. So this is this story about Nangaku and Baso, and from long ago, from the time of the sixth, well, 2 generations after the sixth ancestor. So I don't know, over 1,000 years ago, long time ago. Nangaku is the sixth ancestor's successor, and Baso is Nangaku's successor. So Nangaku comes to Baso's hut. Baso stood up to receive him. Nangaku asked him, "What have you been doing recently?" And Baso says, "Recently, I've been doing the practice of seated meditation exclusively. I've been doing zazen all the time." "What is the aim of your zazen?" And Baso says, "The aim is to achieve Buddhahood." Thereupon, Nangaku took a roof tile and began rubbing it on a rock. Baso, upon seeing this, asked him, "Reverend monk, what are you doing?" "I am polishing a roof tile." "What are you going to make by polishing a roof tile?" "I am polishing it to make a mirror." "How can you possibly make a mirror by rubbing a tile? How can you possibly make yourself into a Buddha by doing seated meditation?" So this kind of a long koan, I guess, but the gist of it is that this younger, the student is just sitting all the time, just intently practicing zazen. Nothing but that in his hut. Baso says, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" So that was a question that came up for a lot of people during the session. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we spending 5.5 days in seated meditation? Question that comes up to it for a lot of us in Zen practice. Why are we doing this? What's our resistance? What's our doubt? And Baso says, my aim is to achieve Buddhahood. I am sitting to become Buddha. And that's pretty much accepted as a silly thing to say, because as you are is Buddha. Buddha said that. As you are is Buddha. Wonder of wonders, all beings have the wisdom and compassion of the Buddha, but we don't see it because of upside down thinking. So in a way, there's nothing to do. As you are is Buddha. So all of this Zen and Dogen and service, chanting, all of this, to say we're doing it to become Buddha is delusion, because as you are is already Buddha. So that's what one way, like the simple way of seeing this koan, is what Nangaku is doing. He takes a roof tile and rubs it against a rock. And Baso says, what are you doing? And he says, I'm going to turn this tile into a mirror. And Baso says, how can you do that? You can't make a mirror by rubbing a tile. And Nangaku says, how can you make yourself a Buddha? By doing seated meditation. So, like I said, the ordinary kind of simple way of seeing this is talking about, could even be interpreted as, you don't need to practice. As you are as Buddha, you don't need to practice. That's actually called Buji Zen. Yasutani Roshi calls that Buji Zen. But Dogen sees it very differently than that. Then it's kind of like, well, we might as well all go to the beach right now. Let me pick up where I left off last time. This is Dogen. Be very clear about it. The functioning of the true transmission of Buddhas and ancestors involves direct pointing, which is, that's the teacher points to something, which is Baso rubbing the tile, Nangaku rubbing the tile. What is more, its impact on Baso was immediately that moment, that realization. Be very clear about it. The functioning, oh wait, we already said that. We should truly comprehend that when the polished tile became a mirror, Baso became Buddha. So I said last time, this mirror is very important because mirror is used a lot in the koans and the writings to talk about true self, that are the pure consciousness or true self or the oneness or whatever, completely reflects everything perfectly. You know, unless you're sick or something, you don't look in the mirror and see anything other than your true face looking back. Anything that passes in the mirror is represented precisely as it is. The reflection is exact. Even if the mirror is cloudy, even if we have some delusion and misunderstanding, still the reflection is clear. So the polishing the tile to become a mirror, like the ordinary understanding is you can't do that. Dogen says, of course you can do that because the nature of the tile is a mirror. My nature is mirror, your nature is mirror, the nature of everything, including the tile, is mirror. So, but when the polished tile became a mirror, Basso became Buddha. And when Basso became Buddha, Basso immediately became the real Basso. And when Basso became the real Basso, his sitting in meditation immediately became real seated meditation. This is why the saying polishing a tile to make a mirror has been preserved in the bones and marrow of the former Buddhas. So when we're sitting and we experience dropped off body and mind, we experience our true self. And that's also a way to sit. Sit as who you are, the true Seisen. Sit with anger, fear, joy, grief, anticipation. Sit with who you are. Don't try to be someone else. And if you do that, you will see clearly that who you are is Buddha, as you are right now. And there's stories of people who just sat down and saw that right away. And more of us takes years and years and years of practice. It says Basso took 15 years. And I said, 10 years. Basso took 10 years. I said, I thought I took 15, but I think it was 20. And that's just an initial realization. The Dai Kensho goes on forever, happens forever. Dai Kensho, complete, without any doubt. So thus it is that the ancient mirror was made from a roof tile. Even though the mirror was being polished, it was already without blemish in its unpolished state. The tile was not something that was dirty. It was polished simply because it was a tile. On that occasion, the virtue of making a mirror was made manifest, for it was the diligent effort of an ancestor of the Buddha. If polishing a tile did not make a mirror, then even polishing a mirror could not have been a mirror. Who can surmise that in this act of making, there is the making of a Buddha and there is the making of a mirror? Your state of being, your breathing in and breathing out when you are engaged in polishing is not something that you can gauge at other times. If a tile could not become a mirror, people could not become Buddha. If we belittle tiles as being lumps of clay, we will also belittle people as being lumps of clay. If people have a heart, then tiles too will have a heart. Who can recognize that there is a mirror in which when a tile comes, the tile appears? And who can recognize that there is mirror in which when a mirror comes, the mirror appears? So I just want to tell you the story of my next door neighbor, who is also my dog Bruno's best friend, Steve. And Steve is retired, but he was a medic in the fire department. So the medics do the same thing the firefighters do. They stay in the station house all the time. I've learned a lot about being a fireman now, talking to Steve, but and for a lot of times they don't have anything to do, right? They're just waiting for a fire. In the good times, they don't have anything to do. So what they do is they clean all the time. And Steve, bless his heart, is probably right now over there polishing his cars. He's got an ATV or what AVT, I don't know what those are, those little things that men like. And he's got a truck, and he's got a car, and he's got a boat, and he's got a patio. And you go over there, he's polishing. I went over there yesterday and he was polishing his ATV. it just shines, and then he's got a cover for it, and all day long he's doing that. And the nice thing about him is he doesn't criticize too. He'll say, if my car is clean, he'll say, oh, your car looks nice. But what Dogen is saying is the act of polishing is enlightenment, because it's already polished. The mirror is already there. So why do we polish? Why do we take care of it? And I read a few articles about it, but one article says we take care of everything out of gratitude for our things. When we love our things and our people, we polish them. I told Steve that, and he said, yes, that's absolutely right. I must be a Buddha. So you clean the fire truck because you're grateful that it puts out fires. And I've got some quotes from people, but I love this. I am not, by the way, those who know you know that I am not good at this, but I'm working on it. I'm working on doing my polishing. This is from Tricycle. It says, at first it says, not only while sitting Zazen, but also when we go back out in the world, our eyes can be the mirrors as we see all the world's struggle and chaos. We will sometimes be blind to the fact that the endless separate things and scenes of this world are always the mirror. Of course, we should try to make this world better, turning the ugly into the beautiful as best we can, cleaning the rivers and seas, planting flowers, ending war, searching for cures to disease, comforting the lonely and afraid. We should not ignore suffering, tolerate the earth's filth, or stir up or wallow in the mud of our own mind. We should put down our own greed, anger, jealousy, and the like. As best we can, we should try to bring the lovely images to the mirror, polishing away the dirt and dust. We should not be complacent. Master Dogen said the very act of polishing is itself the mirror. Buddha polishing Buddha, enlightenment polishing enlightenment, which is another way to say Zazen is enlightenment. Well, he, of course, Dogen is saying polishing is enlightenment. And so to say, oh, I don't need to sit because I'm enlightened, totally misses the point. Because I'm enlightened, I sit. And because it's beautiful and clean and healthy, we polish it. And I love how whoever wrote this, Denny Mueller puts all the work we do for our world, like that attitude that some people take from this koan of, oh, well, it's perfect as it is, I don't have to do anything, completely against the teachings of Buddha and Dogen, because the world's self is beautiful and clean and loving. We should just be polishing all the time. And so to do Zazen is to be enlightened, is that act of polishing what is already a mirror and pure. Hard to talk about, boy, oh boy. That's why I'm picking some of these other teachers. Barry McGid is a lovely talk on this on the Google. Just Google Barry McGid, and the name of this is Kokio, actually, the name of this Pascal. But he says, we polish the tile to enjoy, appreciate, and know its tileness. So we sit Zazen to enjoy ourselves, to appreciate ourselves, and to know our self-nature, which is Buddha, or if you don't want to say Buddha, it's oneness, perfection, I'm trying to find another quote from him. Well, this was already said, but in a little different way. We must understand that when the polished tile is the mirror, Baso is Buddha. So that was his realization at that point. When Baso is Buddha, Baso directly becomes Buddha. When Baso is Baso, his Zazen directly becomes Zazen. So polishing the tile to make the mirror is the essence of the Buddhas and ancestors. Accordingly, the tile becomes the ancient mirror. And when we polish the mirror, we will find untainted and pure practice. This is done not because there is dust on the tile, but simply to polish the tile for its own sake. In this, the virtue of becoming the mirror will be realized. So that's all I'll say about that. That's a lot, but encourage you to Google the fast school is called Kokyo, which is Kokyo's name, and it means ancient mirror. This mirror that is as old as was never born, is that old, and will never die, and the mirror that reflects everything perfectly. And just love this image of polishing. I think I'm going to get better at keeping things clean. And I certainly developed a lot more appreciation for Steve and his polishing. I'm just going to think of Buddha when I see him out there. Yeah, this is one of the harder to see poems, because it's so easy to get lost in, well, if everything's perfect, why do I have to do anything? Which is the ultimate delusion. Because everything is perfect, we polish, we do zazen, and we serve others. So anyway, let me open it up for questions and answers.